Thank you, Jim. I teach in the English and Women's Gender and Sexuality Studies programs. Though I've led 3 national seminars in the past, it will have been 6 years since I last led one, and I am really excited about the prospect of being part of this very important national initiative again next year. I'd like to begin my description of my proposed seminar, Writing About Nature, with a short land acknowledgement written by one of the members of my local seminar last summer, Eden Stein, as a complement to Yale's official acknowledgement, which is printed in the program. So Eden wrote, Yale University is in southeastern Connecticut, where the Mill and Quinnipiac rivers run into the Long Island Sound. It is the ancestral home and sacred land of the Quinnipiac people who lived on this land for centuries. So I want to just pause for a moment to honor that acknowledgement. What I like about this particular formulation of the land acknowledgement for Yale and New Haven's location is its opening with the geographical features that shape the place we are inhabiting and that you are now visiting and will be returning to, which were essential parts of the place for its longtime inhabitants before European settlers and colonization, and for the European settlers who came to this particular part of New England as well. The Mill and Quinnipiac rivers give a sense of this particular place as land with essential natural features. Those features may not be so prominent for many New Haven residents or visitors today. Many New Haven residents, including young people and students, may not be more than dimly aware of these rivers and the way they run down into the Sound. They don't have a sense of the natural landscape or a deep sense of this as a particular place, particular ground with particular waterways. And that points to one of the basic challenges and one of the key motivations as well for a seminar on writing about nature for New Haven teachers, and comparably for teachers from other cities, Chicago, DC, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, Richmond, San Jose, Tulsa, both for teachers in those urban districts and for those who are in more natural settings or other kinds of settings. As another local seminar fellow put it, Dan Croteau, in his unit, as an urban teacher, the idea of nature seems theoretical, as the city is not the first place one visualizes when visualizing the concept. My students would agree with that. To my students, Dan said, nature is not a tangible concept, but something that is not available to them. So people sometimes asked when I would say what my seminar was about last year, writing about nature, what does that have to do with kids in New Haven? How can they relate to that? I think that disconnection, the sense that this is a broad subject that would not be accessible to students or to many of us, is an aspect of environmental justice and environmental injustice itself. And I know I'm so excited to see the different threads among the different seminars that will be offered in the national initiative next year. I know Jordan, I now learn, is offering a seminar about environmental justice, and that has such important applications and urgent kind of needs for action in terms of disproportionate distribution of pollution and so on. But the access to nature, or even to an experience of nature as broadly defined, not in terms of wilderness, but in terms of green spaces, in terms of aspects of the natural world that are right here in the city, plants, animals, an awareness of ecosystems, sense of weather systems, and so on. All that is something that all our students should have access to. A number of recent studies coming from different angles have demonstrated how time in nature, or an awareness of a natural setting, even rather minimally defined, actually has a number of kinds of measurable health benefits, certainly for mental health, but for physical health as well. Scientists have been able to demonstrate this. And the history of writing about nature, which is a kind of established academic topic, but one that We will broaden out considerably in this seminar. The history of writing about nature finds all kinds of human value in the experience of nature, the observation of nature, nature as a space of restoration and spiritual renewal, a place for introspection, in solitude, a repository of really important cultural meanings and histories, a shared sense of place and the natural world beyond humans, something sometimes defined as outside social norms and reflections, and also, of course, a place for the pursuit of scientific knowledge. The history of nature writing posits all these possibilities in nature, so for our students and ourselves not to have access to that is a really significant exclusion. Demographics demonstrate that urban students, people of color, people of lower socioeconomic position, and so on, have much less access to what is recognized as nature. So part of the aim of this seminar is to explore what kinds of access are possible in the big range, when we're thinking nationally, the big range of settings that our students inhabit, so that they can both read what others have written about nature and gain from that and themselves write about nature. What we found last year was that the practice of observation, a kind of intensification of awareness and the ability to articulate observations and identify them, went across all age levels for the students of teachers involved in the seminar, and also a range of subject matters from the biological sciences to English language arts and so on. So in imagining this seminar, I want very much for the readings to represent, our shared readings, the wide range of authors deeply engaged in nature. This traditional academic teaching of writing about nature, nature writing, has focused very heavily on white authors and predominantly male white authors. And when you begin to look around at all, you discover this is a subject matter that people of all backgrounds, cultures, identity positions have written very richly about. And in fact, that non-white writers offer ways of engaging with nature and thinking about nature that are really relay very powerful forms of knowledge and perspectives and alternatives to the traditional European American emphasis on treating nature as a sort of source of resources for extraction, scientific mastery, and industrial progress. So the plan is to include Black and Indigenous poets, how they write about nature, Black scientists, biologists, Indigenous biologists, and so on, and other writers, and think about the wide range of kinds of the incredibly rich resources of all these different kinds of writing. Both Paul and Jordan's seminars for this upcoming year emphasize climate change, what Paul just referred to as this era of the Anthropocene that we are inhabiting. So important to keep advancing scientific knowledge about that and the sharing of scientific knowledge about that. What this seminar can offer is the range of ways contemporary writers are seeking to engage individual readers with the state of the natural world, the perils to the natural world. How do we make people care? How do we make people feel that that's something they're attached to? A writer like Magnusson, the Icelandic writer in On Time and Water, that's his problem. Why is it that people can't grasp or embrace the magnitude of this problem? Because they don't have a relationship to nature. So seeking ways to think about the relationship. So just very quickly, the selected readings, I've suggested some of them in my description, but they'll also be shaped by the particular fellows who join this seminar, the ages they teach, the subject matters they teach, and I want very much to incorporate the kinds of knowledge and perspective that participants in the seminar can bring as well, and that would be reflected in the readings. Thank you.